For the last 50 years, Daystar University continues to be a beacon of light that exists to transform the church and society through world-class, value-based education. Let's go back to where it all started. In 1952, Reverend Professor Donald and Mrs. Faye Smith traveled to Africa as missionary educators to South Africa, where they established and launched Africa Christian Literature Advance, ACLA, an African publishing house that published Our Africa magazine among other Christian literature. In 1956, Frank Reed, a Canadian missionary in Durban, South Africa, introduced Motsoko Peko to Faye and Don Smith as one who had an aptitude for writing. Peko had demonstrated his keen interest and skills in writing through opinion pieces published in various Durban newspapers. Peko joined ACLA and together with Don, Faye and others began discussions about the production of a monthly magazine that could speak to the Africans on issues about Africa. Peko suggested the name Our Africa, and it was unanimously adopted as it would directly speak to the hearts of the African audience. The South African colonial regime perceived Peko's writings as anti-government and on several occasions arrested him.
Among other things, Dr. Peko was arrested 3 times because he was a leader, because he spoke out, did nothing wrong, and was later totally exonerated, but at the time was faced with some 10 years imprisonment as a minimum sentence, simply because of his position, a Christian opposed to apartheid.
In 1963, Peko co-founded Daystar Publications with Don Smith. He personally proposed the name Daystar, and he said, "I read the Bible, and of course I also grew up as a shepherd. Therefore, I knew that by day a shepherd has all the light he needs, and then at night the shepherd has the light of the stars. So the shepherd and his flock are never in the dark and appear to be coming out of darkness." In 1966, Peko moved from southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, to Lusaka in northern Rhodesia, now Zambia. In Lusaka, he established the operations of Daystar Publications, and he lived in Zambia until 1982, when he got various engagements in Britain and the USA, later returning to South Africa in 1994. In 1968, Don officially registered Daystar Communications in Oregon, USA, and launched it in southern Rhodesia in 1969 upon his return. By this time, he had completed his PhD studies in the USA. Daystar Communications was conceptualized as a research and training ministry that responded to Africa's ministry needs. After consultations, Don and Peko agreed to bring a separation between Daystar Publications and Daystar Communications. Daystar Publications would continue with publishing work, while Daystar Communications would focus on training and research. Despite the resounding success of the initial trainings, the political climate in southern Rhodesia made it impossible to continue working from there. Hence, they began to search for an alternative location.
But then a single gift made the move possible to Nairobi, which we had previously selected from about 10 other possibilities in Africa. God led us to Nairobi to bring Daystar here.
As they trusted God for provision to enable them to relocate, Tyndale Foundation gave them an unexpected grant of $100,000 to buy property in Nairobi, Kenya. After considering several properties, Don and Faye Smith identified a 1.54-acre facility at the junction of Gong Road and Valley Road as the most ideal. On August 2nd, 1973, Daystar Communications was incorporated in Nairobi, Kenya as a non-profit company. Don and Faye Smith were ready to move Daystar Communications from Salisbury, southern Rhodesia to Nairobi, Kenya. Training began in 1973 with a 5-week course in Christian communication that attracted students from Africa, Asia, and Europe. Don and Faye Smith trusted God for responsible, godly, mature men and women who would work with them and be responsible for Daystar's work. Years later, Professor Don Smith approached Mr. James Margeria, a renowned businessman and an outstanding Christian leader, and they both organized a dinner at the Pan-African Hotel on August 7, 1976, which brought together church leaders from various denominations.
And I felt that we needed to train young people in Christian institutions so that they can take leadership in the church and in the government and private sector. And then Don came and told me that that is exactly what Daystar intends to do. So I joined and I got involved.
Don shared the vision of Daystar Communications and invited their support. All those present at the dinner meeting bought into Don's vision, and on the same day, they elected members of the Afro-Asian Board to carry the vision of Daystar forward. The board members elected were Mr. James Margeria as chairman, Dr. Donald Smith as executive director and secretary to the board, Engineer Samuel Matu, and retired Reverend Johanna Mbogori. Gordon Melinix was elected as the assistant executive director and was co-opted to serve as a member of the board and as secretary to the board in absence of Don Smith. This board was later expanded and by 1985 had the following additional members: Dr. Stephen Talitwala, Bishop Wellington Mulwa, Mrs. Phoebe Kigira, retired Reverend Dr. David Gitari, Mr. Richard Odeng, Mr. David Mbiti, Dr. Ray Hosteta, Mr. Ed Dayton, retired Reverend Bishop Ndlovu, Mr. James Mwangi, and Dr. Tokunbo Adeyemo. The board members were Christians drawn from diverse fields and professions, empowering the local people both educationally and spiritually to influence their communities. The board members gave their time and money to support the vision of Daystar Communications. The establishment of this board meant that Daystar Communications had two boards, the Afro-Asian Board and the US Board. In 1979, Dr. Stephen Talitwala was appointed as the first African Executive Director of Daystar Communications, taking over from Don Smith. In spite of his outstanding academic and professional credentials, Talitwala humbly accepted to take up the position of Executive Director, which attracted no salary at the time. However, he had a clear vision that God had called him to be part of an institution that would train students to integrate both knowledge and faith into their daily lives. In 1984, he became the founding principal of Daystar University College, the successor of Daystar Communications. He worked with a dedicated team to launch the first undergraduate degree program, which was accredited by Messiah College. This was a fundamental milestone in the Afro-Asian Board's vision to create an African university. The establishment of the main campus in Athi River is attributed to him. From searching to groundbreaking of the land for construction, Talitwala played a critical role in the qualification of Daystar University College for accreditation to become a private Christian university. In 1988, the Daystar Governing Council sent Dr. James Margeria to invite Mr. James Kamunge to serve on the Governing Council. At the time, Mr. Kamunge was appointed by President Daniel Arap Moi to chair many task forces and commissions, including the famous Kamunge Commission of 1986. Mr. James Kamunge joined Daystar University College and succeeded Dr. James Margeria as the chairman of the Governing Council of Daystar University College. As the second chair of the Governing Council, he championed the process of acquiring a charter, which happened in 1994. He held a deep conviction about upholding the Christian values of Daystar University College as it sought the charter. In preparation for the charter, Daystar University College purchased the 300 acres of land in Athi River in 1989 at a cost of 4,050,000 Kenya shillings. This was a requirement by the Commission of Higher Education that visited the site in 1990 and approved its construction. On May 1991, the Daystar community gathered at the new Athi River campus site to break ground for the first two buildings, Hope Center and Grace Hostel. The Athi River campus became the seat of the university when Daystar was granted a charter by the government of Kenya in 1994. Daystar University College was now Daystar University. During the ceremony, Mr. James Kamunge was installed as the first Chancellor, while Professor Stephen Talitwala installed as the first Vice-Chancellor of Daystar University. At the same time, Professor Godfrey Nguru was promoted to Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Academic Affairs, serving in that role from 1994 to 1998. In 1998 to 2000, Dr. Baruch Opio served in the acting capacity, while Professor Samuel Katia served from June 2000. The following served as the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Finance, Planning and Administration: Mr. David Mbiti from 1995 to 1998, Mr. Benjamin Makuyu from February 1999 to June 2003, Mr. Mo Kraus from 2002 to 2003, and Mr. Austin Evans from 2003 to 2004. In June 2004, Professor Godfrey Nguru became the second Vice-Chancellor and was installed into office on the 25th of August 2004, exactly 10 years after the institution had become a fully fledged university. Professor Godfrey Nguru served as a Vice-Chancellor until the 8th of December 2009. During his tenure, he worked with the following Deputy Vice-Chancellors. The Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic Affairs was Professor Samuel Katia, while the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Finance, Administration and Planning was Dr. Philip Kitui, who served from September 2005 to November 2011. In October 2010, Professor Washira joined Daystar University as the third Vice-Chancellor and was installed into office on the 19th of November 2010. He led Daystar University up to June 2018, and during this period, the Deputy Vice-Chancellors serving with him include the following: Professor James Kombo as the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic Affairs, while the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Finance, Administration and Planning was Dr. Philip Kitui, who served up to November 2011. Then, Mr. Jomo Gatundu served in the same capacity from November 2011 to February 2019. Dr. John Meso served as Deputy Vice-Chancellor Institutional Advancement from December 2010 to June 2013. From only 4 students in the first diploma class of 1976, today Daystar boasts of a total population of nearly 8,000 students pursuing different disciplines in our 7 academic schools. Since 1991, the Daystar US office has ensured that almost every building in the Athi River campus is funded. To start off, the Hope Presbyterian Church in Minneapolis, USA funded the first 2 buildings, the Hope Center and Grace Hostel. In 1996, the Macmillan Foundation funded the Providence Administrative Center, PAC. Besides external partners, Daystar's first Vice-Chancellor, Professor Stephen Talitwala, organized several walks in 1995 and 1997 to raise money for students' hostels and chapel building. Construction of the Agape Library was funded by the people of Japan and Reverend Dr. Yoichiro Saeki, a missionary faculty member, and his wife Akiko Saeki. Later, the ICT complex that houses the School of Science, Engineering and Health was put up courtesy of the Pollard family.
We have an office in the US in Minnesota, Minneapolis, the Daystar US office, which was a creation of the founders to fundraise for the university. So I made my first journey there and I got such warm reception and I've received amazing support.
The year 2019 ushered in a new dawn era for Daystar with the appointment of Professor Laban Peter Ayiro as the 4th Vice-Chancellor. he took up the mandate with all the seriousness it deserved and began by making changes in key high-impact areas that needed immediate action. His first step was to begin the greening initiative at the main campus in Athi River, which lies at the foot of the picturesque Lukenya Hills but suffers dry climatic conditions.
This is a semi-arid area, and I've always planted trees. And as I came here and started planting trees, and people said, "You must be mad. There's no rain here. These trees will die." And what an adventure.
To date, over 10,000 exotic and fruit trees have been planted in the premises in collaboration with various organizations. Additionally, a stone perimeter wall has been partially constructed to secure the university.
So we started to secure the campus with the perimeter wall. We had no games facilities. So I again approached donors in the US, and we put up a building, and we have the latest equipment and facilities in the gym.
The Daystar US office raised funds to help refurbish the old gym and to put up the now modern Jack and Kami Youngster Fitness Center.
And today my rugby team is among the best. 5 of my boys are in the national team.
It's a new encounter playing at the high level, but we are well prepared because of the gym.
In 2019, through partnership with the University of Northwestern, Daystar received new radio and television communication studios at its Nairobi campus.
It's made the work of our teachers even easier because now they're able to use equipment and software that is probably more than the standard fare that we have in our market. Because the equipment that Northwestern sent to us and the software that Northwestern sent to us is actually top range equipment and software that is currently used in broadcasting in the United States.
Since we got the new equipment, production has been very easy. We've been able to spend less time on production and more time on creating and delivering content as well as shows.
Daystar University continues to collaborate with other universities around the world like the Howard University, University of Maryland, Shepherd University and the Bujumbura Light University for research and faculty exchange.
We are thankful to God. We have found sources of water. We have excavated dams. We now have 3 boreholes on campus, and we are trying to connect to the main water supply from Novoko.
Furthermore, the university has partnered with Defki Steel Mills to replace the 30-year-old asbestos roofing with steel iron sheets to enable the harvesting of clean water. In addition to that, Daystar has invested in solar power for lighting, borehole water pumping and water heating in student hostels, which is enabled by the sunny weather conditions of the Athi River campus. Further, we have also established a university farm.
We started poultry. We are keeping some animals, cows, goats, which are adaptable to the environment. And now we are starting a Department of Agriculture with the collaboration with the University of Maryland.
In 2020, Daystar University established the School of Nursing at its main campus in Athi River, and since 2020, the schools have experienced a surge in enrollment, raising the urgency for a standalone facility funded by our friends through the Daystar US office.
The Daystar University School of Nursing began in 2010 with 4 students. Today we have over 600 students. Phase 1 of the School of Nursing complex has got 5 skills and simulation labs, which is a promise of quality teaching and learning for students before they can get to touch real patients. We thank you, friends of Daystar University, for your financial support towards Phase 1 of the School of Nursing complex and your commitment for us to realize Phase 2 and 3.
The Daystar School of Law, which was launched in 2018 with 5 students, has grown in leaps and bounds, therefore demanding a standalone facility in the near future.
Considering that we are implementing a 20-year University Master Plan, 2020 to 2040, we can expect to do much more.
As Daystar University focuses on the future, these projects and more are in our plans. The David Musau Mumama Learning Complex, which will host the School of Law, Hostel Kitchenette, Phase 2 of the Perimeter Wall, the School of Mission and Theology, and the Faye Smith Hostel.
The big priority now are hostels for students. Our students are under so much pressure, negative pressure, peer pressure, alcoholism and drugs. If you're going to contain all those vices, then you need the students to be domiciled on campus. And right now we only have a capacity of 1,000 students to stay on campus. So in terms of funding Daystar, in the immediate, we need about $5 million over the next 3 years to meet the demands of infrastructure and expansion. All these things require resources. Sometimes I get nightmares where I'll get the money. Sometimes I feel intimidated. But is this my mission? No, this is God's mission. And just as He has been faithful the last 4 years, I am so definite. And I've actually carried that burden to Him.
Today we look back at the nostalgia of the visionaries that God used to midwife and birth this vision, and with great enthusiasm look to the future, and to Him who began the good work in Daystar to bring it to a flourishing finish on the very day Christ Jesus appears. This is our journey to 50, a story of faith, vision, and leadership, until the day dawn and the Daystar arise in your hearts.